Welcome to the College Admissions Process Podcast presented by Prep Expert. Prep Expert offers live online SAT and ACT courses with the best score guarantees, instructors, and curriculum. Go to prepexpert.com to guarantee your child's success. I'm also excited to share my book, Straight from the Admissions Office, a review of my biggest takeaways from the first few hundred podcast episodes. It's packed with direct insights from admissions professionals and practical tips to help students and their families navigate the college admissions process. You can find all of the information in the show notes. Welcome to The Cap, where we are here to speak with college reps and other professionals in the field of college admissions to help answer all your questions and guide you through every step of the process. So if you're serious about college admissions, you've come to the right place. Are you ready? Let's talk about it. And now, here's your host, Dr. John Durante. Welcome to The Cap, the College Admissions Process Podcast. I am your host, John Durante, and it gives me great pleasure to introduce to you today Nilvio Perez, who's the Director of Admissions at Southern Connecticut State University. Nilvio, it's so great to have you here today. Thank you for coming on. How are you?
I'm doing well. I have no complaints. I'm enjoying my summer. And thank you so much for having me on.
It is an honor and a pleasure, and absolutely, who doesn't love the summer? But let's get right to it, Nilvio. Let's talk about Southern Connecticut State University. To begin, how would you describe SCSU academically, socially, and of course, geographically? And what sets it apart from other regional public institutions in the Northeast?
Well, thanks for that question, John. I look at Southern Connecticut State University as a place where students can really find themselves. We're a medium-sized institution with about 9,000 total students, so a really good size where students can find their own small groups and feel like they belong to the campus. But we are in a vibrant college city in New Haven, Connecticut. That allows our students access to not just the campus, but a network of other campuses around us. Additionally, New Haven is a great transit city where you can really get around either by bus or train. There's even an airport here in New Haven. So you can really explore a little bit more of the local region and a little bit beyond that. Academically, we have over 250 programs here. One of the really great parts of Southern is that we're a Research 2 designated university, one of just a little over 130 nationally, and the only one in the state of Connecticut. What that means to our students is that undergraduates have a little bit more access to research, to professional conferences, to really elevating their academic experience and their academic portfolios as they go on to graduate school or to the workforce. Additionally, we're a teaching college, so all of our academic offerings have professors in the classroom teaching, learning, providing internship experiences, student teaching experiences, clinicals, a lot of different opportunities where students are really preparing themselves for the workforce once they earn their degrees from us.
Well, that's terrific. It definitely sounds like there's a lot of pathways to those careers, which is so important after they graduate college. I love how you describe that you're a medium-sized institution with approximately 9,000 students with over 250 programs with tons of research opportunities right from the get-go. And you're located in that vibrant city of New Haven, Connecticut. Now, SCSU offers a wide range of academic programs, as you mentioned, Nilvio, from education and nursing to STEM and business, and it goes on and on. Can you walk us through some of the standout programs and how they shape the student experience on your campus?
Yes, of course. So our programs are housed in 4 different colleges on campus. We have the College of Education, School of Business, College of Arts and Sciences, and our College of Health and Human Services. One of the really great part of the 4 colleges is that there is a focus of getting our students professional and real-world experience as quickly as possible. So all of those programs offer opportunities to do a practicum, an internship, whether it's a clinical, really get them hands-on experience before they head out with their degrees. Our College of Health and Human Services has an interdisciplinary approach. So our social workers are working with our nursing students, or working with our communication disorder students. They're kind of working all collaboratively so that they can be better prepared to serve the communities around them. Our College of Education is our oldest school. We were founded as a teaching institution. And I really, really love that, because at the heart of Southern is teaching. One of the really neat things that we are doing here is we've partnered with our local school district, New Haven Public Schools, along with Yale University, and we are committed to providing 100 new teachers in the school district over the next decade. And what that really does is helps with the teaching shortage, but also really provides teachers who kind of have an experience similar to the population that they're teaching and serving. So we're really committed to that diversity and equity for our students to be able to go through and get great jobs in the districts that maybe they grew up in. Our School of Business was recently given the AASCSB accreditation, which is the most rigorous accreditation that any school of business can have. Under 10% of schools nationally hold that distinction. They have paid internship experiences, and they have a brand new building. The newest program within that particular major is our Energy and Utility Leadership program, which is the only one in New England, and really provides students with an opportunity to work in that industry. They come in with a scholarship, and there are wonderful corporations around our region looking for students who are graduating with that degree. And then finally, our College of Arts and Sciences, we actually break them up into 3 wings. We have a STEM wing. You mentioned that a little bit earlier. We have a lot of great opportunities for our students to work in New Haven. BioCity is one opportunity. There's an incubator for our computer science students to be able to do ethical hacking around creating apps and things of that nature. We have a social science wing with psychology and anthropology and philosophy. I call it the ology wing because we just are able to kind of learn a little bit more about all those disciplines. And then finally, we have a visual and performing arts wing for our music students, our music majors, dance, students who are interested in theater, and then, of course, illustration, photography, graphic design are all within that particular wing.
Well, we appreciate the overview. I love how you talked about the fact that you have 4 different colleges, namely the College of Education, Business, Arts and Sciences, and of course, Health and Human Services, and the focus on real-world experience. I mean, it's so evident in your school. We really appreciate, again, that overview. Now, Southern is part of the Connecticut State Colleges and University system. Nilvio, what does that affiliation mean for students in terms of transfer pathways, shared resources, and opportunities within the CSCU system?
Well, that's a wonderful question. We're very committed to helping our students graduate timely here at Southern. And one of the nice aspects of being in a system is that students are able to take classes within our community college system here in Connecticut, or potentially one of our sister schools as well, and help them really stay on path to graduate, whether it's taking an online course over the summer or winter session, or potentially we have a lot of students who are doing dual enrollment classes at the high school, where students are able to kind of bring classes in a little bit more seamlessly. So we work with our sister schools, the community college system, in that regards. Additionally, as a system, our students have access and opportunities to do things that may not be offered on our campus. So, for example, some of our students will do an ROTC program with one of our sister schools. We've also had some students do a cappella or musical or student groups with some of the other sister schools. And really at the club level, student club level, a lot of our students engage with other students at the sister schools here. So there is a lot of value of being in a system. There's a lot of value for our students to really explore and get to know other people, and also in terms of making sure that they are on path to graduate timely, taking advantage of some of those classes that may not be offered in one term at Southern, but it's available at one of the other schools.
Well, it's amazing to hear about that partnership, giving students, first of all, so many opportunities on your campus, but even beyond as part of that overall system. So we appreciate that explanation. And of course, students and their families, they want to hear about the holistic review process. They want to know, okay, when I submit that application, what happens? So let's talk about the admissions process, Nilvio. How does SCSU review applications, again, holistically? And what aspects of a student's application typically stand out the most during your team's review?
That's a question that we get often, John. And we take pride in being an institution that provides access to our students, the ability to actually enroll. So we take our holistic approach really seriously. We are not people who are looking to say no to applicants. We are looking within the file for anything to say, yes, they will be successful on our campus. So we're looking at the high school transcript. We're looking at the level of classes that they've taken, but we also look at progression. Being a teenager in this environment is difficult. So we want to make sure that our students have an understanding that if they had a bump in the road, that's not the end all be all. We are going to try to dig in and kind of have an understanding of what happened and how has the student kind of transitioned from that point. We read recommendation letters from counselors and from teachers. We review the essays that students provide us. We read every single essay. We're also test optional. So we will take into consideration any standardized exams that may be sent, but we're not accepting students at a higher rate who've submitted the SATs as opposed to those who do not. So we're looking at everything. We do provide the opportunities for students to come in for an interview if they are more comfortable sharing their story instead of writing it down on paper. And we're very flexible with that. We'll do in person, we'll do Zoom meetings. So we have a lot of opportunity to really provide the students the opportunity to meet with us and for us to really get to know them.
Well, I appreciate that opportunity for them to meet with you in person or on a Zoom. So students, if you are an extrovert, someone that lights up the room when they enter it, and you want them to see that in person or on a Zoom, take Nilvio up on the optional interview. And I also appreciate how you talked about that your team is looking to the file to say yes to students, right? Because you are admissions counselors, not rejection counselors. So I love that, Nilvio. I really appreciate it. And so you touched upon so many parts of the overall application, and I'd like to unpackage it a little bit. So, for example, when reviewing academic records, does Southern recalculate the GPA? And how do you weigh advanced coursework such as AP, IB, dual enrollment, or even honors classes within the context of the high school?
Yes. So we do recalculate GPA for all applicants, and we do weight on our own scale. One of the difficult aspects of college admission is trying to put everyone on the same scale to have an idea of, what does an AP class and a honors level course mean at each particular school in terms of their weighting. So we provide a small weight for students who are in college prep, honors, AP, and then dual enrollment. So those students who are taking a little bit more of a rigorous course load may have a higher grade point average because of that. We don't utilize ranking within our review process. However, we are looking at ninth grade through the beginning of senior year to kind of make sure that we haven't missed anything. And again, to determine the best path in terms of admissibility for students.
Yes, and I appreciate you talking about the fact that you're looking at ninth grade through 12th grade so that students, even though 12th grade grades are not available at the time of the application, it's very important to continue to put your best foot forward even in that senior year. Now, I appreciate the fact that you talked about recalculating the GPA. I was just curious, do you recalculate looking only at the core subjects or do you look at everything?
Oh, great question. At the core subject. So we are, for example, if a student is interested in going into a STEM or nursing discipline, we're going to look at the sciences and math a little bit differently if it was a student going into a different discipline. So we will look at subject by subject. Additionally, we've created this new model with advising. if there are students that we've seen struggling in math, for example, and we've actually seen an increase in this since COVID, we are trying to provide additional resources for those students in math in their first year to really help them through some of those prerequisites in order to, again, remain timely in terms of graduation. So for two different reasons, we are looking at course by course, subject by subject calculations.
Well, I appreciate the additional resources also. And you particularly mentioned math and some dips, since COVID, which many schools are also seeing. Now, you mentioned that Southern is currently test optional. Nilvio, what advice would you offer to students who are trying to decide whether to submit those SAT or ACT scores? And how do test scores, if submitted, factor into your overall review?
Well, I'll take the second part of that question first. Because we're holistic, if you submit your test scores, that's going to be utilized like every other aspect. So it won't have more of a weight or less of a weight. It'll have an equal weight as we review your application. This past cycle, 22% of our students chose to apply showing their test scores. So the majority, the overwhelming number of applications that came through chose test optional. I advise students to work with their school counseling team, talk to maybe their family members to determine which institutions they should be utilizing their test scores for. At Southern, you can actually go on our website, and we have some of those statistics that I just mentioned in terms of how many submitted, what percentage were admitted, and what the medium test scores were. If you're higher than the medium test score, then please go ahead and submit the test scores. I think that's a safe assumption to kind of do. However, for our scholarships, we're test blind. So we don't even look at the test scores for any of our merit-based scholarship programs.
Well, I appreciate you mentioning that because that was going to be a follow-up in terms of merit-based scholarships. So thank you again. And just to repeat, 22% of the students submitted test scores in the last cycle and 78% did not. I want to also point out to students that in cases like that, where you're looking at the mid 50%, the numbers are skewed, right? Because only students that are performing extremely well on test scores are obviously submitting. And so it's a little different when looking at the mid 50% from 10 years ago as opposed to now. So again, we appreciate that insight. And let's continue to unpackage the overall review process further. What roles, Nilvio, do the personal statement or even supplemental essays play in SCSU's admissions process? And what insights are you hoping to gain about a student from their writing?
I tell students when I'm meeting with them that we are not English professors sitting there with a red pen and trying to find every grammatical mistake. We are admission counselors who are trying to provide the best judgment of if the student is going to be successful on our campus. So I encourage students to, number one, if they're choosing a prompt, to answer that prompt on the essay. And number two, to provide information that we can't find on any other aspect of their application, whether it's the transcripts or recommendation letters. Most certainly you want someone to review your essay before you submit it, but you don't want your voice to be changed when someone is helping you edit your essay. You really want it to be authentic, you want it to be yourself, and you want the person reading it to have an understanding of either who you are and where you want to go, what career you might be interested in, or why college or Southern specifically might be the best next step for you. So those are the things that I encourage students to do. It's really difficult to try to do all of that when you have a 600-word limit, but that's what my advice would be, is to really be yourself, be authentic. We are looking to learn more about you and to answer this simple question: are you going to be successful on our campus?
Well, I think that's tremendous. And I love how you talked about the fact that, I'm going to quote you, We are not English professors. And so I repeat that because, yes, of course, you want it to be grammatically correct, no doubt about it. But it's very different than an English essay that you're doing in a class. They want to learn something new about you that's not easily found in other parts of the overall application. So if you're writing about your academics, well, the transcript tells a story. If you're writing about activities that you participated in, well, the activity sheet covers that. So students, you want to be able to answer the question, if someone reads my essay, have they learned something new about me? And the answer must be yes. And in terms of the authentic voice, a good piece of advice that somebody once shared, most students have this thing called a cell phone. So students, to maintain your authentic voice, record yourself reading your essay. Listen to it again and again. Does it portray exactly what you want to say in your voice? If it does, great. If not, keep working. So again, Nilvio, we appreciate those insights. And another thing that's come up a lot is this question around institutional priorities. So how large is the incoming first-year class at SCSU, and how do those priorities such as serving in-state residents, supporting underrepresented populations, and strengthening academic readiness shape enrollment decisions from your team's perspective?
Good question. So this year's incoming class is about 1,350 first-year students. So a really good number of new students choosing us. In terms of our priorities at the university, we are very committed to being an access institution. We want to make sure that we have the students who are coming in who we feel we can support and help graduate. And some of those numbers, such as our first-gen population, about 40% of our students are first in their families to pursue a college degree. We have a very wide range of students from the state. We're very proud to say that we have one student from every town here in Connecticut. So we really serve our state really, really well. Additionally, about 90% of our total undergraduate population do come from Connecticut. So we're really committed to make sure that we provide our residents here in our state the opportunity to get a quality education. And we've been growing our out-of-state population as well. So actually, New York is our largest out-of-state group. And I'm a native New Yorker, so that always gives me some pride. There's always a pizza conversation when the New Yorkers come here to New Haven. But we're really, really, trying to ensure that our students, when they get here, regardless of where they're at in terms of readiness, whether it's academic readiness, social readiness, emotional readiness, that we can provide the services and the support needed to assist them through. Because I always think that, going to college is great. Going through college is even better. So we really want to make sure that students go through their Southern experience here, earn their degree, and continue on and really impact their lives and their communities in a different way.
Yeah, I really love that. It really sounds that, again, you're not only mindful about getting the right students on your campus, but there are so many supports to really guide them and help them with the many career pathways that you provide. Now, SCSU places a strong emphasis on student support and success, which we've discussed a lot throughout this whole conversation, Nilvio. Can you share some of the standout services or initiatives, such as the first-year experience, advising, or career development, that are available to help students transition from the many high schools they are coming from while helping them to thrive once they are on your awesome campus?
Yeah, great question. So our lens here at Southern is one in which we are mindful that first, we might have a lot of students and families who have never experienced college before. But the reality is college has changed and evolved so much in the last decade that even if you're in a home where your parents may have bachelor's or master's degrees, or you may have had an older sibling who have gone to college, the experience is probably different as well. So our lens is really focused on the fact that this experience is one that is not easy for a lot of different reasons. So we do have a first-year experience office here. They provide what we label an I&Q course, an inquiry course, where all first-year students must take in their first semester. This class is really the foundation course for college success. Students learn a little bit about financial literacy. They have an understanding of the importance of what internships can do for you. They begin a research project that they actually present to the university at the end of their year, first semester. They have a current upperclassman student as an assistant to the professor. So now they have access to a professor, but they also have access to a peer mentor. So it is a great model that we believe that we do well, and we continue to evolve that particular course. Additionally, students have an advisor every year that they're here, including that first year. So they're working with a professional advisor to really help guide them in what classes and what sequence of classes they need, but also just to really make sure that they're in the major that's the best fit for them. Sometimes students, when they're in high school, select the major because it sounds interesting, or it's a popular major, or everyone in their family has done that major. So there's a lot of reasons why students may choose a major that may not be the right fit for them. The advisors really kind of assist with that, especially early on in their first year. Our Office of Career and Professional Development works with students at all levels, and we really guide them through the orientation to start that process immediately. My encouragement to all students is find a job on campus. There's a lot of valuable things. Of course, extra money in your pocket, who doesn't want that? That's great. But to have a network of staff around you who can help you with little things from roommate conflict to, I don't know how to talk to my professor, or I need to change a class schedule. You have professional people around you who can add as an additional support. Additionally, as you go through the cycles, you have somebody who can write a great recommendation letter for you if you're working in their office. So find that Office of Career and Professional Development. But one thing that's really grown over the last couple of years is our counseling and wellness team. So we've really tried to make sure that students feel comfortable talking about things that might be going on in their lives, finding a network of support, having kind of a blanket of care around them in all aspects. We've even bought a couple of nap pods on our campus. Now, every time I walk through the nap pod, John, there's a professional staff taking a nap. But I'm sure our students are using it as well. I'm kidding. But it's again just the idea that students need rest. Students need to be able to really recharge. Let's put these things out so that students feel like that's a normal process. We can normalize that. And those are the things that the conversations that we're having here at Southern to really make sure that our students feel like they belong to our campus, feel that they're comfortable, and really take care of themselves in all aspects of their lives so that they can do well academically. And again, as I've said before, really get them through our Southern experience.
What you're describing is a tremendous community where you're there to support them academically, physically, emotionally, and frankly, not only during the 4 short years perhaps that they're on your campus, but even beyond. So I really appreciate listening to you articulate what an amazing community you have there, Nilvio. And many students are unsure about how the waitlist works at schools like Southern. Can you walk us through how waitlist decisions are made? And is there anything proactive they can do to students themselves to demonstrate continued interest or strengthen their position if they're on that wait list? Or is it mostly dependent on, again, institutional needs and available space?
The only program that we offer a wait list for is our nursing program. Although we're the second largest program in the state, we only have 200 seats. We receive about 1,200 applications for those 200 seats every year. If a student is put on the wait list, I encourage them to stay connected with our team here at Admissions and also the nursing department. There are students who are choosing other institutions, so there is opportunities to be moved off the wait list. And I think if you're showing that demonstrated interest that you're really interested in Southern, you might be pulled off the wait list a little bit earlier. I will encourage all students to not feel discouraged if they're put on the wait list. This is a capacity program, and unfortunately, students or the applicants have no control on how many other students are applying. So if we get 2,000 next year, there's just going to be more students on the wait list because of that. And that's unfortunately the reality that we have to face.
Well, yes, it's unfortunately the reality, but I'm really happy that you shared those numbers because I think it's important for students and families to hear it. And I repeat, 200 seats in your nursing program, which nursing programs have become more and more competitive. And the cap on the numbers is usually because of the clinicals, right? The relationships that you have with the local hospitals and what have you. So if you're getting 1,200 students applying, I'm willing to bet that the vast majority are probably very strong academically, and they probably want that nursing program. So, in terms of comparing student to student, applicant to applicant, they're probably quite similar, quite strong, but there's only 200 seats. So again, students, if you're on the wait list, keep in mind, 1,200 students applied for only 200 seats. So it's not something that you did. It's not personal. I know that the college admissions process sometimes feels very personal, but sometimes it comes down to numbers, right? And institutional priorities. So again, Nilvio, we appreciate you giving that insight to our students and families so that they can understand it better. This has been an amazing conversation, as I knew it would be, Nilvio. But before I get to the last question, I always like to ask, is there a question I didn't ask that you wish more students and families would consider when exploring Southern, or anything else you wish to share that just didn't come up in the conversation before we wrap up?
Yeah, I can't say that it wasn't a question that you didn't ask, but I failed to talk a little bit about our exploratory options. There are a lot of students out there who are just unsure of an academic program or may have multiple interests. And we've seen an increase of students applying exploratory, which when I was in college, it was just undeclared. But we've changed the terminology to exploratory, and about 20% of our class come in as an exploratory student. And one of the things that I really appreciate about how we try to handle exploratory students is that we have an exploratory category. So for example, we have students who are, I want to be a teacher. I just don't know if I want to teach younger students, high school students, and in the state of Connecticut, we have different credentialing, different certificates, depending on what grade you're teaching. So it's really important to get you into the right major. So you can start exploratory education. So you're still in the College of Education. You're still getting the advising of what it takes, but you don't have to feel pressure day one. I have to decide who I'm teaching on my first day of college. It takes a little bit of the weight off of the students to be able to really take some classes, maybe be a student teaching volunteer, do some of those things to really understand this is the grade level that I want to teach. Exploring business, exploring STEM. Those are some of the other categories that we have. And then, of course, we have something just called exploring, still deciding. Every single exploratory student has an advisor. They have an INQ class within the first year experience. So they're not alone in this process. And I think as a parent and a lot of our family members, they love hearing that they're still being guided even though they're not in a major. And I think some of the misconceptions that we have out there is that if a student is undeclared or exploring, they're kind of on their own. And now you're picking classes that may not go toward your degree. There's a lot of misconceptions. So, I really want to make sure that I emphasize the fact that we have a strong exploratory option here, and students are being guided really appropriately into the best programs for them. Additionally, our student life and res life communities here, I think, are pretty strong. We have 9 residential halls on campus, so we have a vibrant kind of community there. We have a new team over there that is really making sure that students are in living learning communities and really building their leadership portfolios. But student life is kind of the heartbeat here of our campus. We have a lot of students involved in either a Division II athletic program or a club level team. They may be involved in a musical group or theater on our campus. We have a newspaper, student-led, a radio station, a television studio that students have access to. So we have a lot of different things that students are kind of doing. Esports is taking over the industry here in terms of computer gaming. So we have an esports team and an esports center on our campus. So there's a lot of different things that students can kind of do when they're not in classes or not doing an internship. So those are just some of the other things that kind of add to being a Southern student, and students, again, feeling like they belong to our campus.
Well, they definitely feel like they belong to your campus and your awesome community. And I appreciate the fact that you talked about the exploratory program, because sometimes you just don't know what you don't know. So for the example of a teacher, someone that comes to mind, I won't mention the name, but she thought for sure she wanted to be a middle school teacher, only to find out that she absolutely loves the advanced courses that are offered at the high school, and she's currently a high school teacher. So you really don't know until you try. So it's great that you guys are so mindful, again, of the whole child, right? Helping them academically, helping them physically, emotionally, but also putting them on the right pathway in terms of those careers. This has been a phenomenal conversation, Nilvio. I really appreciate your time. Unfortunately, it does lead us to that last question, which is, what are your top 3 pieces of advice for students and their families who are just starting the college admissions process, especially those looking at public institutions like SCSU?
Yeah, good question. I always put my parent hat on for some of these questions. I've had 2 students go through the process. My oldest son and my older daughter go through the process. And I've learned a lot when I went through them. I think the first advice that I can give to students and families is that you hear this term fit a lot. You want to find the school that you're the best fit for. And the reality is that there are probably 8 to 10 schools that are the best fit for you. And we kind of have trained our high schoolers to think there's one best fit. And the quality of education around this country is really strong, and there's a lot of different best fits for you. So with that kind of mindset, explore early. Do your research. You had mentioned, John, earlier that all these students have cell phones. What a great way to do exploring. Go take 10 minutes out of the day, go on a couple of websites that you think you want to learn more about those universities. Watch some videos of student testimonials. Do some of this early exploring, and then visit. We do a really phenomenal job of making sure that our videos come across really well. Our language on our website is really positive. We have a lot of different things that we do in terms of marketing to students. Go visit, walk around the campus. That way you get a great, authentic experience, and you're able to kind of make a better informed decision if you want to keep this school on your list. And then my last kind of piece of advice for everyone is just breathe. It's okay. Don't put more pressure on yourself. Make sure you know what the deadlines are, because deadlines, unfortunately, are very real. But breathe. Enjoy the process. Unfortunately, we've made this process a little bit more intense than it has to be. As I mentioned earlier, I really truly do believe that there are multiple best fits for the particular student. So go research, enjoy it. Really, take advantage of the free lunch passes or at the open houses. Do all those wonderful things, but really just enjoy this process. And you can't do this in a silo. Families, work with your school partners. I can promise you that your school counseling team is very knowledgeable about college admission. Utilize them, talk to them, stay engaged with them. You have administrators, you have other people in the community. Take advantage of all those people with this process. Don't try to do this alone. If you're an athlete, work with your coach. If you're a musician, work with your band leaders, right? Do all of these different things so that you don't feel like everything is on you as a student or as a family.
Well, those are tremendous pieces of advice. Explore early, visit, and breathe, trying to enjoy the process. And I appreciate you saying that, breathe and enjoy the process, because it really is a time to self-reflect, students, and discover what is the right fit for you. We talk about it all the time. There's over 4,000 colleges and universities in the United States alone. As Nilvio said, there are many schools that are the right fit for you, but not every school is indeed the right fit. So enjoy it. Enjoy the process. And there are so many resources available. And by the way, Nilvio, you mentioned so many of them from SCSU. If there are any links that you want to put in the show notes for the students, I always put the Office of Undergraduate Admissions there. But if there are any other links regarding any of the resources or things that we talked about, please give them to me. And of course, we'll make them available in the show notes. Nilvio, you're awesome. I can't thank you enough for being here today.
John, thank you so much for having me. And I appreciate it very much so.
Absolutely. It was our honor and pleasure. And to everyone out there, good luck with the college search. Take care all and best wishes.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of The CAP, the College Admissions Process Podcast. We hope you enjoyed the show. If you did, please don't forget to tell a friend and follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and wherever you listen to your podcast. I am your host, John Durante, and I look forward to seeing you on the next episode of The CAP.
Thank you for listening to the College Admissions Process Podcast presented by Prep Expert. Prep Expert offers live online SAT and ACT courses with the best score guarantees, instructors, and curriculum. Go to prepexpert.com to guarantee your child's success.